Today we're making what's my new favorite pizza, and it's a pistachio pizza with prosciutto corudo and pistachios and also some homemade stracciatella. And this is a Neapolitan-style pizza that clocks in at 1097 calories, so quite a lot, but for that we get 55 grams of proteins, 95 grams of carbs and 54 grams of fat. And since it's a Neapolitan-style pizza, we're gonna start off by making a Poolish. That means that we're gonna mix 320 grams of flour with as much water, so 320 grams as well. And to that we're gonna add 8 grams of dried yeast and 8 grams of honey. And then we're gonna mix all of that together, let that sit for 1 hour on a countertop, and then we're gonna place that in the fridge for roughly 21 to 24 hours. Once that's time's up, we're gonna take that out, leave that on the counter and let it come to room temp for 1 hour, and then we're gonna mix the rest of the ingredients. And then we're gonna let that rest for the remainder of 2 hours. So it's quite a process, but it's totally worth it. And I can already now tell you that I'm cheating a bit and using a tabletop pizza oven, which I'm guessing not all of you have, but this can be done in a regular oven as well. So mix everything together, leave it 1 hour on the counter, and then in the fridge it goes. And to that, as I said, we're gonna make our homemade stracciatella. That means we're gonna take one mozzarella, shred it up as much as we can, and then we're gonna mix that with cream and let the cheese absorb the cream for roughly 4 hours. If you're nearby, you can stir it every once in a while. So we're gonna go for 250 grams of mozzarella and also 200 grams of cream. And was just a little bit left, so I'm having that for free because I didn't want to throw it away. It's 36% fat cream, and to that we're gonna add some salt. And then all we need to do is just stir this together and put it in the fridge for roughly 4 hours. And as I said, if you're nearby, give it a stir every once in a while. And that's how easy it is to make stracciatella. So it's really no use buying it, since you can make your own. Then we're gonna take out our pizza dough and let that rest on the countertop for 1 hour. And then we're gonna get 32 grams of water. You're gonna mix that with 16 grams of salt and just stir that together. I think it's easier to mix your water and salt in water because then you make sure it's evenly distributed in your dough. So just stir that together, and then we're gonna pour that after our dough has been sitting on the counter for 1 hour. So we're gonna pour that in our dough, and then finally we're gonna need to add 92 grams of flour. And I don't know if I said that, but this is for 4 portions. So this is gonna be 4 pizzas. In the link below there's a link to the spreadsheet where you can scale this up and down if you want to eat 5 or 4 or just 1. So check that if you are curious. And we're gonna mix this together as much as we can. And then we're gonna start kneading it on our countertop, and this is a high hydration dough, so it's gonna be very, very sticky at first, and you're gonna get a lot of dough on your hands. But since we want a thin pizza, we want to make sure we knead this for quite a while. So we're gonna knead this for roughly 10 minutes. And in the beginning it's gonna be very, very sticky, but after roughly 10 minutes it's gonna be not sticky, but a lot better. So just knead your dough for roughly 10 minutes, and I know a lot of videos out there show you that you're gonna need this until you can do the window pane test, so stretch the dough until you can see through. We're not gonna be able to see anything here. If you try that, it's just gonna shred apart, because we're gonna rest our dough, and that's what's gonna develop the gluten as well. So eventually you will be able to see through, and it's gonna be fine. Once you've kneaded, rest it for 15 minutes, and then we need to weigh our dough and divide it into 4 parts. And since everything is made in grams, it should be roughly the same for you as it is for me. That means that each dough ball should weigh around 215 grams. And this is not difficult at all. Just cut some pieces loose, and if you have too much, remove some. If you have too little, add some. It's not going to be a problem. So once you have 215 grams, we are going to form our dough balls, and we're going to leave them to rest in a bowl for 2 hours on a counter. So that means that we're going to take our bowls. These are 0.6 liters and they are too small for this, so the dough usually rises and messes with the plastic wrap on top. If you have bigger bowls, that's better. But to our bowls, add 3 grams of olive oil and spread the edges with that so it doesn't stick. And if you check our dough now, you can see that we finally can see through. So we have developed a lot of gluten, and it's going to be easy to shape later on. And easy to stretch. But anyway, what we want to do now is we want to form our dough balls. And that means we're going to take an edge and slap the dough on the counter, and then turn it and slap it again. And do that all the way around. And once that's done, all we need to do is flip that, flip it, and create a ball. Just roll it on the counter and then pinch it together at the bottom so you seal the bottom with your hands. And then just mix the olive oil in the bowl, and then place your dough ball in. Plastic wrap on top. And as I said, these bowls are too small, so the dough will stick to the plastic wrap. It works, but it's not optimal. To this we want to add 10 grams of pistachios, and we're going to chop those up. How much you want to chop them up is up to you. I like to just chop them so there's no whole ones, and otherwise that's going to create a nice piece of crunch and taste for our pizza. And this isn't a tomato-based pizza, it's a pizza bianco, meaning that we're not going to have any tomato sauce, but we're going to add 30 grams or 31 grams of shredded mozzarella. And then we're going to take some semolina, add that on the counter, and a lot of flour on our hands, otherwise everything will stick. Fish your dough ball out and flip it. And then Neapolitan-style pizza means we want to leave some air in the edges. So be a little bit careful and just push down so you create a barrier to the edge there. Flip the dough and do the same thing, and once you've sealed it on both sides, you can push down in the middle. And then we're gonna pick this up and remove most of the semolina. We can keep a bit because it's still a very wet dough. And push it down again. And what I like to do is just be careful with our edges. One hand to stretch it just at the edge of the edges, and then the other hand underneath and just pull. That's how I like to start, and then we're gonna pick this up and put the edge of the edge on our knuckles and let the weight of the pizza just stretch itself. And that means you're gonna get something looking something like this. And to that we're gonna add our shredded mozzarella. And as I said, I'm using a pizza oven. If you don't have one, that's fine. Just oven at as high temperature as you can, and in with the pizza it's gonna probably be double the time, meaning 4 to 5 minutes. And since I'm using a pizza stone, the dough is gonna stick immediately when we place it on the pizza stone. So that's why I'm stretching it longer on the sides, because we can stretch it with using a pizza pedal that you need to have floured, otherwise it's gonna stick. Just give it a shake and see that it's still loose. And in with the pizza. And 2 minutes in the pizza oven, roughly 5 I would think in the ordinary oven. and all of them doesn't get perfectly round. That's fine for me. So we're gonna add our prosciutto crudo, and and then we're gonna add our stracciatella, and finally we are going to add our pistachios, and then give this some salt and some pepper. And for me, this is my new favorite pizza. I absolutely love it, and it's amazing, according to me. And I hope you try it as well, and if you do, I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.